Yeah, I mean it's exciting. We don't know exactly who we'll play yet, but we'll prepare for two teams for the next couple of days, today and tomorrow. And by the time we get to Greensboro tomorrow, hopefully we have an idea of who we'll play, and then we'll start preparation for that. This time of year, you may add a few things, but it's maybe tweaking some stuff and just trying to make sure you're as fresh as you possibly can be.
Jeff, along with that in mind, I know you've mentioned that he's been practicing, but have you or your staff given any thought to activating Dior this week for the tournament? Is that on the table at all?
No.
Is it possible that he could get cleared to play?
No.
Okay. After the game at Miami, you talked about how emotional your team was. How would you just kind of gauge the temperature of the plane ride on the way back? How did everybody feel coming back?
We didn't feel great, but we were proud of the effort, and we moved on. Now it's into the postseason.
What are the challenges and what's unique about playing a team for the third time in the season?
What are the challenges? I don't know of any challenges, to be honest with you. I mean, you should be pretty familiar with them third time, have a feel for what they do. Maybe they've changed some things, and so that's for us to find out and to try to learn and be prepared for. But I don't know of any other different challenges besides the normal challenges that you go through when you're playing someone and trying to get prepared for somebody.
Jeff, you guys have lost 3 straight road games now. When you're in a slump like that on the road, is there any temptation to maybe change the preparation process on, just how you go about the day heading into the game?
Sometimes there is, but again, we're not panicked. We've played 3 teams on the road. The last 3 games we've lost on the road, I thought Virginia Tech was desperate and they played their butts off. I thought it was the one time maybe this year in a while that Notre Dame played with purpose. And we played against a heck of a team against Miami and had a chance to win. So I think we'll stick to what we've been doing.
Do you think your players have that same mentality looking at those losses and can point to those certain things as well, or do you think they get discouraged when they...
I think they get discouraged, but it's our job as coaches to try to teach and try to get them to move on. Again, our guys have done a good job all year of moving on to the next thing, and I saw that today.
Coach, did you have to give that message, or are they such a veteran team that they take that message themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I gave the message right after the game when we got back here. I found out yesterday that they met when they got back here in the locker room, and so felt good about that.
Jeff, what is an area or two that you really want to tweak, and that's going to be key, especially in tournament play?
We have to defend and rebound better. That's a big thing. We haven't defended well the past few games like we were earlier, and then we didn't rebound against Miami. We have to do that. We have to be better in every facet. When you get to this time of year, it's crazy. You've already seen some craziness happen in some of these conference tournaments, that are going on right now. And so, you have to try to not get too emotional. You have to be able to utilize and use emotion the right way. Use it in a positive way, and don't let emotion use you.
Jeff, everybody says that teams with strong guard play have an advantage in these tournaments. In your estimation, why is that?
I think when you have good guards, you have a chance to control the game. They're the guys that have the ball the majority of the time. They're the guys that initiate things. They can determine and dictate pace. They're usually at the forefront of your defense. The guys that are picking up, pressuring, and things like that. So I think that's why people feel that way. I've always felt that way. I don't know if that's because I was a guard. But I've always felt that if you have good guards, you have a chance to win.
Do you think your guys took the disparity in rebounding personally? Did you notice that?
I hope so.
Did you notice them talking about it much? Or
not today. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's something they talked about when we got back and they met, but they didn't talk about it today.
Jeff, you have been around the ACC for a really long time. What would it mean to you to be named this conference's Coach of the Year?
I mean, obviously it would be a cool award. It would be, to be selected by your peers and by people, but I I've tried to live my life not worrying about awards or what other people think. I feel good about what we have done as a coaching staff this year with this group. I feel really, really good about our team and about what we have accomplished and what we can accomplish going forward. That's my focus.
So to follow up on that, would it be more rewarding for you as a coach to see some of your players get ACC recognition?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's always at the forefront. Look, I had my time when I played. I had my time and I enjoyed it, and I was able to win some stuff and to be a part of some really special things. Right now, what I want to try to do is to create moments for them where they can have, some special moments and to accomplish some really cool things.
What's your favorite moment from the ACC tournament, playing in it or coaching in it?
I didn't have much success playing in it when I was a player. I was part of a coaching staff at Duke in 2017 when we won it, so that was probably my favorite.
Coach, on top of that, this is like, you feel different going into the ACC tournament for the first time at Pitt, don't you?
Well, it's good to get a bye. We've been that first game or that first day every year we've been here, so it feels good. It feels good to have more than 6 conference wins. I think we had 6 each year my first 4 years, or it was no more than 6. I know that. So it feels good to, get 14. That's a heck of a thing to get 14 conference wins. So I feel really good about that and excited about the opportunity that we have.
Jeff, Nate Santos has played in just 13 minutes going back to February 11th. Is there anything going on with him, or can we expect to see some of him on the floor in the ACC tournament?
You can expect to see everyone.
Is he injured?
No.
Some of your three-point shooters, not Blake necessarily, but maybe Greg a little bit, Nelly to some extent, maybe even Nike. Have they seemed, to your eye, maybe a little hesitant in recent games, maybe not having as quick a trigger as they had earlier in the season?
I don't think so. I don't think they have. We may not have, some of those guys may not have made as many, but I don't think they've been hesitant. We don't want them to be hesitant. We want them taking good shots.
Is there anything a coaching staff can do to maybe increase the amount of rebounding you can do?
I don't think there's much you can do for us. Well, maybe some other staffs can. For us right now, we can't do a lot because we don't want to do a lot of physical things. We can't afford an injury. Mm-hmm. And so there are drills and stuff you can do in practice, but we haven't done rebounding drills all year. We do block out drill. We try to emphasize it, in some of the things that we do. But not like maybe in the past where you get 3-on-3 and it kind of becomes like football. We've had some coaches that put pads on guys. You have some coaches that put a bubble up on the basket and do different things like that. We've been a pretty good rebounding team all year. We just didn't rebound well the other day.
Jeff, when it comes to Federico's development, I know you talked about how he's coming along offensively, but is he maybe further along on the defensive end than you thought he could have been to start the season?
I don't know, because I never put a cap on what he could be. I knew he was just a developing player. I knew that he was a guy that he's really smart and he wants to be good. And so with that, I thought I didn't want to put a cap or think, well, he can't do this or this is going to take, maybe 2 months instead of a month. I never do that with guys. I just try to go and try to work with him every day and try to help him get better every day, and he's gotten better every day.
Maybe I can rephrase that. For a sophomore coming from a junior college, maybe he's getting a little more adjusted to the American style still, but for a guy that has that past, is he maybe further along than maybe you could have expected?
He's been better than I expected him to be in all facets of the game, yep.
Jeff, I don't think there's many teams in the country that have lost 3 scholarship players and still won 21 games. Has that been the biggest challenge for you as a coaching staff and as a team this year?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Not a lot of people have talked about that with us this year. It's interesting. I was thinking about that earlier this morning, and I was talking to a friend of mine about it. And you try to figure out your team and start to figure it out. I think we got to that where John got injured. Dior's situation. Will was never with us during practice, but there was thought that we could maybe get him back. And so we didn't really start to, develop our identity with this group until around October 9th. I think that's when all these things happened and things like that. And so it took us a little bit of time to figure out who we were and who we had to become, with three guys that you thought would have a significant role in the rotation. I mean, I thought Will, coming into the season, I thought he would be our best defender and most versatile defender. He was playing really well this summer. He had worked, his body's changed. You know, you forget that he was just 17. And I thought, you know, he was going to be, you know, have a pretty significant role for us. Certainly, John was the guy we tried to build everything around. And he was an integral part of helping us get these guys. And then when he got hurt and, then decided to take a break. And then Dior, obviously, he's talented. And so I think it's a testament to our guys, how they continue to fight, continue to show up, continue to work. And we had to figure things out pretty quickly. We took some lumps to do it, but we were able to keep fighting and figure it out.
Is it too soon to know if those three guys will be back next season?
Yeah, you don't know who's going to be back next season.
Do you want them back?
Of course. Yeah.
Go ahead, Noah.
When you talk about losing those three guys in the middle of the season and you don't have a lot of time to prepare or adjust, is there almost kind of like a blessing in disguise in that, where you're just throwing this group out there and they have to figure it out in the games and it comes a little bit more organically that way?
No, it's not a blessing in disguise, and it happened in October, so we did have a little bit of time before we started playing games. But it's just, you're doing things from the beginning of September, when we finally got together, and you're putting in a system kind of based on what you have there. And then all of a sudden, that changes significantly because you have three guys, and it adjusts. You got to make changes in practice, what you're doing. Now all of a sudden, we were at 12 scholarship guys, now we're at 9 with those three guys out. And so it changes everything. And so we had to make some adjustments, but guys stepped up. It gives more opportunity, certainly, for guys, and guys did an amazing job stepping up.
Jeff, how is this team's identity different from what you thought it might have been with those three guys in the fall?
I thought we would be good, even, when we had those guys. I thought we'd be good. I thought, maybe we'd be a little bit more powerful. We would have more of an inside presence, obviously, with John. That's probably been the biggest difference. We don't have that guy we can just throw it down to that could, get doubled or, foul a whole front court out like we had with John. So that's probably been the biggest adjustment.
One of those guys that have stepped up is Nike, and given what he's gone through, especially from last year, just how refreshing is it to have a guy like that can kind of come in and provide that instant offense, and then it looks like he's seen a bunch of minutes increase, throughout the later part of the season. What do you think is going to be key for him going into the tournament?
Yeah, he's been great. And you're talking about someone starring in their role. He has done that. I've said it from the beginning of the year. I think he's like a 6th starter. I think we have 6 starters. He's a guy that's really a starter for us. He plays starter minutes. He can close games for us. He's helped us win. He brings a different type of energy. He has pop. What I mean by that. And athleticism that we don't have. And he's been tremendous. I mean, it took a while just because when you come off that injury, there's a physical barrier you have to get over. There's also a mental barrier, that you have to get over. And, you can do it in practice, you can play, but it's different when you're going against someone. So it took a little bit for him to find that rhythm again. But once he found it, he's been unbelievable for us.
Are we too late in the season for you to consider changing a starting lineup and putting him in the starting 5, or are you just really content with what you guys have as far as the rotation?
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm content with what we have.
Yeah.
Greg hasn't shot the ball particularly well over the last couple of games. How was his kind of mentality and demeanor in practice today going through it?
Yeah, he was fine. I mean, I think he made 5 threes in the second half against Syracuse, but he didn't shoot it as well against Notre Dame, and certainly didn't shoot it as well against Miami. That happens. I've always said, when you are a guy that shoots the basketball, you got to shoot. You have to have convenient amnesia. And you have to be able to forget very, very quickly. And he shot the ball really well in practice today.
Does he keep that energy and that, all the positive spirit we see on the court? Does he keep that even when he hits like a,
He can get down a little bit, but we get on him when we see him like that because we need that all the time from him. We need that energy all the time from him.
Coach, you said you don't do rebounding drills. So what was the problem? Was it out of position on Saturday? What did you teach them?
I thought they were more physical than us. It's really interesting because I went back and I looked at our first game against them. They had 1 offensive rebound. I thought we were more physical when we played them here. I think we had 12 or 13 offensive rebounds. And, one of my assistants, told me this morning he watched Larinaga's press conference. That was a point of, emphasis for them. And, it's interesting when I went back and I watched the tape that night, there were times we were in position where they just pushed us out the way. And so I just thought for that game, for whatever reason, they were the more physical team. There were a couple times where like they shot air balls and it was like we thought it was going out of bounds and they have 2 guys going to get it and they get layups. Those are like we have to be able to pursue those and go after them instead of just waiting and hoping that someone else gets it or the ball goes out of bounds.
Jeff, you talked last week about going down to Miami with a go for it attitude. Can your guys have that same type of mentality, energy going down to the ACC?
Absolutely. We're really excited. Our guys are really excited. I mean, practice was upbeat today. Really, really positive mindset. And we're anxious. We're just going to try to go win 1 game and see what happens after that. Just win 1. That's what we've talked about all year. Just try to be 1-0. So we're going to try to do that.
All right.